Everyone thought she was just another quiet recruit. They only realized how wrong they were when the commander struck her shoulder, and she didn't even flinch. It happened under a blazing noon sun, the parade ground shimmering with heat as soldiers lined up for drill practice. Commander Rourke, known for breaking spirits before he built discipline, paced in front of them like a storm looking for a place to land. His eyes locked on Private Lena Ward, the smallest one in the row, the one most recruits whispered about, the one they assumed would wash out within a week. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Rourke stopped inches from her face. Ward, he barked, you march like you're scared of your own boots. The platoon stiffened. The air felt tighter. Dust lifted around their feet as the wind shifted, carrying the scent of sunburned earth. Lena's fingers trembled against her rifle, though her expression stayed calm. Sir, I can repeat the drill, she said softly, but softness only fed the fire. Rourke swatted her shoulder with the back of his hand. A sharp, humiliating crack. Gasps rippled through the ranks. A few recruits looked away, others stared wide-eyed, unable to process the commander's sudden cruelty. Lena staggered but didn't fall. She didn't even blink, and that unsettled him. Again he growled. And this time, try not to embarrass the uniform. But something shifted inside her. A quiet anger. A buried memory. A voice reminding her she'd survived far worse than a slap from a man who didn't know her story. She took her place at the front. The sun pressed hard against her back. Her heart slowed, steadied, sharpened. When the whistle blew, Lena moved. Not clumsy, not timid, not scared of her own boots, but precise, powerful, unignorable. Her steps carved the air. Her turns sliced through the dust. She moved with the confidence of someone who had once been responsible for lives, someone who had trained far beyond the sight of these watching recruits. Murmurs rose. Where'd she learn that? Is she showing off? No, that's skill. Rourke's face tightened as the crowd began stepping closer, drawn to the sight of the smallest soldier suddenly commanding the space with quiet authority. When she reached the final pivot, something happened no one expected, least of all Rourke. She stopped precisely at his boots, lifted her chin, and said, "Sir, permission to demonstrate corrective drill technique." A micro cliffhanger settled in the air. Even the birds perched on the nearby fence seemed to pause. Rourke, flustered and visibly irritated by the attention shifting away from him, scoffed. "You, corrective technique?" But she didn't answer with words. She answered with mastery. She guided the platoon through a formation so synchronized the ground hummed beneath them. Each movement mirrored hers. Each pivot snapped like a disciplined heartbeat. The recruits followed her instinctively, as if her confidence lent them their own. Even Rourke had to step back as the formation swept around him like a wave of trained precision. When they halted, dust settling in a perfect ring around their boots, Lena stood at the center, panting lightly. The noon sun painted her in gold. Rourke stared. His reputation, the one built on dominance and fear, trembled. And then a voice from the back whispered what everyone felt. She just destroyed him, without hurting anyone. He knew it was true. Everyone did. Lena lowered her gaze respectfully. "Sir, permission to resume regular training." But there was no cruelty left in his eyes. Just the stunned realization that strength doesn't always make noise. Later, when the recruits dispersed and the heat softened, Rourke approached her quietly. "I underestimated you," he said. "Won't happen again." She nodded. "Sir, it's never about winning. It's about making each other better." And for the first time in years, he felt humbled. Because real power never needs to strike. It simply stands tall, and others rise with it. And sometimes the smallest soldier carries the biggest truth, hidden until the moment the world finally looks close enough to see it. If this story moved you, share a comment, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us for more stories that remind us that courage isn't loud, it's steady, it's human, and it's everywhere around us.